Every haunted place has a story with a dark past. This is Ghost Encounters Podcast. Welcome back, all you spooky people, to the Ghost Encounters Podcast. I am paranormal investigator Justin Torok.
And I'm Jordan, the group scientist.
I'm Hannah, your death-obsessed bestie.
We have a very special episode for you listeners today. We got a really interesting email a little bit ago, and someone wanted to call in and share their spooky fan story. But after hearing the amount of stuff that happened, the intensity of this,
And the
details, this is its own episode. So everyone, please welcome Laura, all the way from Utah. Welcome. Woo!
Laura!
Thank you. Super happy to be here.
Thanks for calling in. This is awesome. This is the first time we've done this where we've had someone call into the podcast. So this is going to be great. You're the first one. Congrats.
Yeah, welcome.
So if you could, let's get right into it. What is this spooky fan story that you'd like to tell us?
Oh my gosh. There is so much to this. So much. So many layers.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Are we ready? Are
I'm
you guys sitting down?
I'm
So
ready.
ready.
I am very ready.
All right. I was born and raised in San Diego, so it starts in San Diego. I was 18, living with my boyfriend, his mom, and his little brother.
All right.
I'd been living there maybe 6 months, and everything was fine. This is the very first ghost. I'd had spiritual feelings and things before, but this was the very first ghost encounter that I'd ever had. And so while I was living with him, he would go in the middle of the night to play guitars with his friends down in San Diego, and I would stay home. And I remember the very first thing that happened is I was laying in bed. It was about midnight. And I don't know if you guys can feel this or anybody else can feel this, but when you're asleep, you can sometimes feel that somebody's in the room,
Yeah.
but you're still kind of sleeping. Does that make sense?
Hannah says no because she's very non-sensitive to the paranormal.
Literally not at all. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to crap on anybody, but I always say I'm like the anti-psychic because they'll mess with Jordan, they'll mess with Justin, and I'm just like, please mess with me, and they're like, no, we're not doing that.
Oh, I can send some your way if you want.
I mean, the other people I live with would probably hate that, but like next investigation. Go for it. Send them on out.
But yes, I know that feeling when you feel like there's like someone just standing there in the room kind of watching you, and it feels kind of icky and weird. But yeah, please continue.
So I'm laying in bed asleep, but I can feel somebody's in the room, and I know it's not him. But I feel this spirit, as creepy as this sounds, crawl onto the bed. Like I can feel the energy coming up the side of my body.
Okay, that's scary.
Scary? like it's laying next to me, and it gets to where it's laying completely next to me, and I can feel it against my head too.
Oh no.
And if I could see it, this is what I would have seen. It leans in next to my ear and it says, Laura. It actually says my name.
That's scary.
Knew who you were.
It's freaky.
Yeah.
It's been watching.
And I open my eyes in the room. Of course, there's nobody there. And I'm like, I still have chills right now just talking about it. And I'm like, what was that? This is insane. So that's all that happened that night. So I talked to my boyfriend about it, and he says, yeah, that's weird.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's kind of weird, huh? So a few days go by, and we were going to head down to the beach, and it was just my boyfriend and his little brother and me, and we were in my car getting ready to leave, and I ran into the house to get something, and our bedroom window's open, and I hear him yell, don't forget to get the, and then I couldn't hear what he said. So I yelled, what? And he says, don't forget to get the, and I couldn't hear him again. So I go outside, and they're in the car, and I said, "What did you need?" And he says, "What are you talking about?"
They responded to you twice, not just once, but twice.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And I said, "You yelled while I was in the house, 'Don't forget to get the,' and then I didn't hear what you said. What did you need?" And he says, "I've never hollered to you at all." He says, "I didn't say anything."
Wow, that's creepy.
That is so creepy.
I'm like, "We're leaving.
I
We're
hate
leaving.
when they
We're
do
going."
like people's voices.
Right,
Yeah.
mimicking. That's terrifying.
It's gross. It's really gross.
And he mimicked it perfectly. It sounded just like him.
God, man.
So we left in a hurry.
I would too.
Yeah.
So all of what I'm going to say happened within like a 2-month period. So a few days went by, nothing happened. I could feel, I was trying to pinpoint where the energy was coming from in the home. And so I would walk around and I'm like, what is it? And a couple of nights I slept in his brother's room. His brother never slept in his bed or his room. And so I did. And I knew exactly where the energy was coming from after that. There was something in his room.
Oh.
And so I'd always keep the door shut, never go back in there. So this one day I'm home, sitting on the couch, and we had a baby gate halfway up the stairs because we had dogs that weren't allowed upstairs. And so this one day I'm alone and sitting on the couch, the staircase is behind me. And for anyone to come down the stairs, you would hear them come down, stop, step over the gate, and continue down the stairs.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so this one day...
Yeah, I can tell where this is going right away.
Yeah.
So this one day I'm sitting there home alone, I thought, and I could hear walking around upstairs, which would have been his mom's room. And I thought, I could have swore they already left, but I guess they're still here. And so I'm watching TV and I hear somebody run down the stairs without stopping.
Oh my God.
Shit.
That would freak
That's
me
just
out.
like that's just like meant to scare you because you know that they're messing with you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, only me. The boyfriend never felt it. The brother was Down syndrome, so he never, expressed anything. And the mom, nothing. Like, I would ask them, I would tell them, and all of them thought I was insane.
I get it.
So, all right, 2 more things in that house. So, next, I was laying in bed. The window was cracked above our head, and I thought we were having rain that night, which is super exciting. I love storms. And so I'm laying in bed, and I hear rain out front. And I was like, yes, it's storming. So I sit up in the middle of the night, and I look out the window, and it is just bone dry.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not raining. And so I laid back down and I thought, this is really weird. What am I hearing? And I listen and I lift my head and I'm like, what is that? It's driving me nuts. It's the shower.
Oh,
Shit.
The bathroom, in the bathroom right on the other side of our wall.
oh wow.
And I thought, who is showering in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
His brother didn't shower in that bathroom. And he was next to me, and his mom wouldn't have used our bathroom. So I'm like, why is the shower on? So I laid there for a little bit longer listening to it. I'm not getting out of bed. I'm not going to go pee.
Smart.
So I look through the door. The door was open, and I looked in the hallway, and there's no light coming from the bathroom. So I thought, just get up and go look. Just go look. And then the other part of me is like, there ain't no way you're getting out of bed.
I'm not going in there.
So I just laid there and I heard it turn off. And I thought, okay, if somebody was showering in the dark in the middle of the night, the shower curtain's going to open and there's going to be sound in there.
Right.
And nothing ever happened.
Nothing.
Wow.
The shower was running and nothing ever happened. There was nobody in there.
Yeah, it's creepy.
That is so creepy.
All right. Last but not least, in that house, laying in bed alone, middle of the night again, and had to have been the same spirit, came and laid next to me again.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
so creepy.
came back, very creepy. And this time, all of this other stuff had already happened, so I had no idea how bad this was going to be. And it was just the same as before. Laid next to me, right up to my ear, and said my name.
Bleh.
Ugh.
That was it.
And that's like designed to catch you when you, like, the implication there of where you were most vulnerable.
Yeah, I was just gonna
like,
say vulnerable.
Yeah, I'm watching you sleep. I'm watching you shower. I can mimic your boyfriend, and I know your name.
Yeah,
It is psychological warfare.
yeah,
It is at that point.
It's like, I'm leaving.
yeah.
Yeah, don't send that guy to my house.
So we dated 3 years. I ended up breaking up with him when I moved up here to Utah. And so I thought I was leaving all of that behind. Nothing else happened after that last laying next to me and saying my name. But what had happened was enough that I was super glad to get out of that house.
Yeah, anyone would be.
So, all right, I moved to Utah with my parents. They retired up here. And nothing happened for a long time. Nothing ever happened at my parents' house. I get married a few months after getting here. Everything was... Thank you. That was the first marriage. And
sorry.
That's okay. And so we moved into another house. And now, while I believe I'm haunted, I don't believe the houses are haunted. But I will say the spirits don't follow me. It's like different ones every time. So I don't know what there is to that, but that's how I feel.
I kind of like that though, like to call yourself haunted instead of other places
Right?
haunted.
For some reason, they
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah.
They're just coming
They
after
do.
you, and it's almost like Jordan over
I
here.
was
They're
just
always
gonna say, it's
attracted
so
right
relatable.
to you.
Yeah, something in an aura, I suppose. I don't know.
Something unique about
I swear,
us.
I have a spiritual sign on me somewhere that says, come talk to me, come trick me.
What's up?
So there weren't hauntings in this house, but I think my husband became possessed.
Oh.
No.
Wow.
I was, let's see, pregnant,
No.
and I had a 4-year-old
Oh, jeez.
at the time. And the very first thing that happened was we were going to a Christmas party, and I had went downstairs into our basement to get my daughter some socks, and I felt somebody next to me, and this time it was my husband. And so I turned and I just looked at him. Guys, I don't know if I can express the anger and the hate in his face. I had never seen anything like that on anybody
Terrifying.
ever before. And he's standing very close to me and kind of over me, and he's got his fists clenched down to his sides, and he was a very gentle man. And I just looked at him and I said, "What?" And he just looked at me like that, just kept staring deep into my eyes with this hate. And again, I said, "What?" And I was kind of backed into a corner. I couldn't have got around him. And this thought came to me that he was going to kill me.
Oh,
And for no reason, no
Wow.
reason. He was not violent at all, but just that he was literally going to kill me. And so I screamed at him and I just said, "What?" And he shakes his head and he just went soft and he looks at me and says, "Nothing." And he walked upstairs.
Oh my god, that would freak me
That
out.
is
Yeah.
freaky.
I
So we-
hate that. But you tell it so well. I'm like sitting here spellbound. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm like white knuckled on this table.
Yeah, she is. She
Yeah.
literally is.
Grabbing the table.
So I didn't say anything when I came upstairs. I just got our daughter ready and we went to the party. And we came home, put her in bed, and I said, "Hey," I said, "when you came downstairs before the party, you looked really angry. What was that all about?" And he said, "What?"
Oh no.
And I said, "You came downstairs when I was getting socks." And he says, "I never went downstairs."
Oh my
That's-
god.
And I started to cry. And I said,
Yeah.
"Please tell me that you remember coming downstairs." And with the most sincere heart, he says, "I never went downstairs.
Oh
I
my
never went
God.
to you while you were down there."
Scary.
You've got
Yeah.
Did that happen more times, or is that the only time?
It did. It did. So it
Oh,
continued.
my God.
It continued for a couple of years. We moved houses from that house and went to another house. And yeah, there were times that we'd be showering and I would put my head back under the water and we'd been talking. Everything was fine. And I put my head back under the water, and I could feel it. With my eyes shut, I could feel that coming over him. And so I pull my head out of the water, and he's doing it again. He's got that hate, like he is going to kill me.
Ooh.
And so I took my hands and I just smacked both sides of his cheeks, and I just, tapped his face a couple of times, and he shook his head, and he says, I was doing it again, wasn't I? And I said, you were.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Just to know that,
Yeah,
he's
it was-
he knows like something's up when he sees probably your expressions. That's
Right, when he
Slap
snaps,
him?
out of it.
and he's just
Right.
like, ah, shit. And
So
then
for
there
those
was some of
moments,
that.
something is literally trying to take hold of his being, of his body,
Yeah.
and kind of like possessing him for those few moments.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe he's just, he was just strong in those moments where he was probably trying to fight it a little
Yeah.
bit, but just didn't remember what the hell happened.
That's scary.
Yeah.
There was 2 times I caught him. It didn't involve looking at me, but he would be like on his laptop, and I was watching him over his laptop, and because he kind of got dazed,
Right.
and I felt that feeling again. And so I would look at him, and he's just kind of staring at his screen with that same look, anger, and then he would just shake his head and just keep reading.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So I don't know. We never went in to talk to anybody to see if there was a medical reason for it, but that was pretty creepy.
Yeah. Dude.
Absolutely.
Did it eventually stop?
I divorced him, so I don't know.
Okay.
And I will honestly say that was a little bit of why. I didn't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't feel safe,
Then,
that's
yeah,
fair.
that's-
Yeah.
Compromise.
I didn't know if I was safe. I didn't know if our kids were safe. I didn't leave my kids with him. I didn't shame him for it. I didn't feel like it was anything he was doing on purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, we had to be safe. So that was part of it. So,
Wow.
okay, we got a divorce from him. I met my second husband. A couple months later. Anyway, after a short dating period, I moved in with him. He had 4 kids. I had 4 kids. So I instantly became mom to 8 kids overnight.
Wow.
Full
house.
Full house.
Yes. And we moved into his house, and his house was built in 1909, so it was kind of old.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Turn of the century.
And he didn't tell me, and of course I don't think somebody would just come up with this, but he didn't tell me that there had already been a little bit of things happening in the house.
Oh no.
Yeah, so before I moved in, him and his first wife had doors slam, babies cry when there wasn't a baby in the house.
Oh,
That's terrifying.
That's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had that in a story when we did the paranormal intimacy one. One of the women who was romantically involved with a ghost was, when it started to go south, it would torment her with crying
of baby sounds. Yeah.
So there's precedent for that. That happens. Terrifying precedent, but it's it's
Yeah.
one of those things.
Wow.
Yeah.
What episode was that?
That was Paranormal Intimacy. I think
Correct.
it was maybe the British woman Brocardi who her ghost lover, ghost husband, when they started to have marital problems, he would torment her with the sound of a crying baby at all hours.
That's
Oh, wow.
really
Yeah, that was,
that's unpleasant as shit, man.
that was
yeah.
season-
Yeah, that's not cool.
Season 3, episode 9.
Season 3, episode 9.
Yes, indeed. You are not alone.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know what I would do in that situation.
I'd
I've been
probably
through a
cry,
lot of
too.
situations, but
Yeah, because as a mother, like, you have that motherly instinct to be like, okay, I hear a baby crying. Where is it? I have to go
Right.
find
Yeah.
it, and that could lead to other vulnerable attacks
Exactly.
from spirits or something going to look for something that you hear.
Yes.
You never know.
yes. So this next house had worse hauntings than the others. We knew that it was haunted when all of the kids were outside, husband was gone. So it's me and my little 4-year-old in the house, and I was in the back of the house in my room, and she was going around to the front door to go outside and play. And I hear a crash, and she just starts crying.
Oh, God.
So I run into the front room, and on the wall by the front door, I had it's like a metal rod, and then it has 3 rods that come down, and each of those hold a candle.
Okay.
And the way that it hangs on the wall, they're called keyhole hangers, where you slide it on and then pull down so it sits behind the head of the screw or the nail.
Yeah.
So there were 2 of the keyhole hangers holding this, but now this is all over the ground. She hadn't even made it to the door. And so I went to her and I picked her up and I said, honey, what happened? And she's just sobbing. She can almost not talk. She's just terrified. And she says, that thing flew off the wall. And I said, okay, it's okay. I'll clean it up. Go outside. So she goes outside and I thought, why would that have just fallen off the wall? That's weird because of the kind of hangers, plus there were 2. And I thought, that's weird. So I just cleaned it up and I went to hang it back on the wall, thinking that the screws had stripped out of the wall somehow. And they're both in the wall. They're both in a plaster wall still. So it literally had to have been lifted off the screw heads on the wall.
Yeah, lifted off and tossed.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Wow.
So, and it didn't just drop straight down because there was a bookshelf there and nothing on top of the bookshelf had been disturbed. Nothing.
Wow.
So that was the very first thing that happened. And I thought, oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Really?
It's back.
Except now you're involving my kids.
Yeah.
You're scaring my kids. It's not just me and it's not just my husband involved. Now you're doing this to my kids. So I'm on hyper alert for anything that is going to hurt my kids. So that was the first thing. We started EVPs after that. I decided that if it's going to involve my kids, we needed to start doing EVPs and seeing if we could get anything from them. Mm-hmm. So we started to research it, and 2 of my boys decided to do an EVP without us in the room. They took our audio recorder into the room, and they didn't get them asking the question on the recording because they asked it and then they hit record. But they said, who was it that knocked the candles off the wall and scared my little sister? And then they hit record. Guys, I kid you not, clear as day. You know those ones that you hear on recordings? It's kind of a whisper and you kind of have to guess what it might have been saying.
Right.
It wasn't that. I could hear it as clearly as you guys can hear me. And it was a deep man's voice. And he says, Lupita did it. And as soon as he says, did it, you hear a little girl say,
oh my God. That's scary.
So you've got Lupita did it. And we just flipped out.
Oh,
that's
my
so
goodness.
Creepy.
That is so creepy.
That is so creepy. So you've got 2 of them in the recording. You've got a name, and you have this little girl being blamed for it, and she thinks it's funny.
Oh my God.
So I did research on Lupita, couldn't really find anything. Did research on the house, couldn't really find anything. There were things in that house that would be thrown. Like, my one son was down the hall. There was these little plastic rackets, and nobody else was in the hall. The whole family was in the front room watching a movie. He's walking down the hall, and this racket comes flying down the hall and hits him in the back.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Same kid. I think he's pretty haunted, too.
Maybe it's genetic.
Could be.
You know, sometimes you just get something. Like, that's what it is.
He would have things dropped on him from shelves above where he was sitting. And they had good aim. They actually hit him every time.
Oh, no.
That's
They
not
have
good.
good aim.
Wow. That's not good.
Let's see. We would have doors shut in that house a lot. We would have shadow children, and I say children just because they were little. They weren't full-size shadows, but I would see them like going down the stairs into the basement, and my little ones weren't allowed down there, so I'd follow them down there thinking it was them, and the little ones are upstairs. It wasn't them at all. Nobody was down there.
That's creepy, too.
Stuff like that. All right, so this is the really bad part of this house.
Oh, no.
So...
Wait, it gets worse from there.
It gets a lot worse. It gets a lot worse.
Okay, we're going to pause the story there real quick. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by The Colony Meadery. If you haven't tried mead yet, it's alcohol made for money. It's all natural, totally gluten-free, and delicious. Colony Meadery is one of the best meaderies in the world, and it's located in Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley. Stop in and try a flight of meads, grab some bottles or cans to go, and experience some of the best booze in the world. They have flavors ranging from tart and quaffable lemon laws and Wu-Tang Cran to sweet cinnamon vanilla series of tubes, and even sweet heat with their mango habanero. Learn more at colonymeadery.com. Ghost Encounters is sponsored by Phoenix Fire Media. Elevate your business with their digital marketing strategies, including their multi-award-winning social media marketing, photography, and video production. Phoenix Fire Media, igniting success through creative excellence. Visit phoenixfiremedia.com. If you're enjoying the Ghost Encounters podcast, hit subscribe and give us 5 stars. To watch full episodes of the Ghost Encounters show, visit ghost-encounters.com. And don't forget, when you're on our website, click on The Spooky Shop for all your Ghost Encounters spooky swag. To stay up to date with Ghost Encounters, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Ghost Encounters PA. To send spooky fan stories, email GhostEncountersStories@gmail.com or message us on social. Do you want ad-free episodes of Ghost Encounters podcast, plus bonus episodes, extra content, and much more? Then you should head to Patreon and be a spooky VIP. Go to patreon.com/Ghost Encounters podcast and be haunted from all the benefits with the spooky VIP membership. And we are back, and I can't wait to hear the rest of this crazy story.
So we went, this is the first time I had ever experienced an icy room. The whole family's in the family room. We're watching a movie. I needed something out of my bathroom that's connected to my bedroom. And so I went down there just by myself, just went into the room. And as soon as I opened the door, it's like an AC had been running in only that room.
Wow.
Just super cold, like you're walking into a walk-in freezer.
Oh,
Wow.
And I walked in and I'm like, what is going on? We didn't have central heat or air conditioning in that house. And so it was really weird. And I started getting these chills that weren't because of the cold. And I thought, this is really weird. This is weirder than the other stuff that happens. So I made it to the back of the room, but I couldn't go in the bathroom. It was just that strong of goosebumps and chills and get out. So I went into the family room and I asked my husband, I said, can you go get my stuff for me? And he says, what? I'm like, I just need you to come here. I need you to feel this. And so he went in and he says, what is that? I said, I don't know, but I just need my stuff out of the bathroom. So he goes in and gets it. We ended up fighting. We to that point had never fought, but we ended up getting in a pretty big fight that night. And I had to go in my room. Like I was going to go to bed and be angry. And this thing was still in there. And I thought, you know what? This is my house. This is my room. And I'm going to go kick that thing out of my room.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So I did. I walked in and it's still freezing and the energy is still super strong. And I closed the door behind me and I literally said out loud, I said, this is my house and this is my room and you're not welcome here. And I got in bed and I went to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tell
And it was gone. I don't know when. I slept through the night, but it wasn't there when I woke up.
Sometimes you just got to be stern with them and tell them to get the hell out.
Yeah, stand your ground.
It worked. And I was like, wait, I can do that? How come somebody didn't tell me that 10 years ago? I want you guys to know how cool this part is. It's the first time that we saw a full body apparition in that house. The first of about 40 in that
God.
And it was, the first one was seen by somebody that didn't even know our house was haunted. So that's what's really cool about it. My oldest son's best friend had stayed the night, and my son and his friend were walking through the front room. There was like a 3-foot space between the couch and the wall to get to the front door. And so they walked along the back of the couch and turned in that space to go to the front door. and his friend threw his leg up in the air and fell.
Whoa.
And hurried and turned around, and he says, "Is she okay?" And we're like, "What?" And he says, "Riley, wasn't she just sitting there?" My daughter's name is Riley. He says, "Wasn't she just sitting there?" I said, "Riley's not even here."
Oh.
And I'm like, and then I caught on to what was happening. I'm like, whoa. I said, "I need you to tell me what you just saw." And he says, "I could have swore it was Riley, a blonde little girl, sitting right there between the couch and wall, hugging her knees."
Oh, goodness.
Wow.
And I just looked at my husband. I'm like, here we go. So that was the first of, like I said, about 40 full body apparitions of this girl.
Wow.
Most of the time, she was in my bedroom or my bathroom. It used to scare the kids, and they'd come running and be like, "That girl's in your room." But then it just got to the point where it just happened so much that they're like, "She's in there again." I'm like, "Okay."
Just getting used to it, like an unwanted roommate. She's there again.
The cat's back.
Yeah. So I'm totally assuming that that's Lupita, and that she's the one that threw the candles off the wall, and she's the one that made my room icy.
Yeah.
I am totally assuming, but I don't know what else it could be. She was behind my door. Like, you'd walk in the room, walk out, the door's half open, you'd see her standing behind it. You'd see her standing by the shower. You'd see her sitting a lot, hugging her knees. Never tried to communicate, never looked at us, never did anything like that. But, so, all right, one more story. Now, I need to make sure you guys are sitting for this one.
We're sitting.
We're sitting.
This one is insane. I'm at work, husband's at work, children are not allowed to be outside when we're at work, but kids don't listen. So Riley and one of her brothers were out front in a tree. They had climbed a tree. They're sitting in it. So, which that definitely would not be allowed when mom's not home.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's summertime. And so they climbed up. They were probably 12 feet up in this little spot in the tree. And they're just hanging out. They're just sitting up there talking, being kids. And a man comes walking up the sidewalk. And he's wearing dress pants. And he has a briefcase. And he has on a vest and a white shirt and a top hat.
Oh.
Very unusual for current day.
Yes. And the shirt, the way that the kids described it, we interviewed them alone, so they weren't feeding off each other's stories.
Good idea.
They said that the white shirt had frills, where the vest would have come together. That goes with the top hat. That goes kind of with whatever. I don't know why a man's walking around Utah wearing that in August, but he was. And anyway, so it's awkward. So they're just both sitting there staring at this guy. And he walks up the sidewalk and he turns up my walkway to my front porch.
Oof.
So he's going to our house. Oof. And we had about a 20-foot walkway till you hit the steps to the front porch, and he goes up the front porch. We had a glass window on our front door where you could see in. It was about half of the front door. And so he goes to the front door. He never touched the door, never knocked. And he looked like he's looking in through the window, looking in the house. And he pulls his head back. He walks the length of our front porch, kind of looks out at the road, and then he goes back to the front door. And the kids are whispering to each other in the tree. They're like, should we tell him that mom and dad aren't home? And so they decided to. So they both dropped down out of the tree. And he's gone.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
That's crazy. I just got the chills.
That's intense.
There's nowhere he could have went. I mean, all of everything happened within, 10, 15, 20 seconds, maybe enough for somebody to walk up to the porch and look around, and then they dropped out, maybe a minute. But that's just crazy.
Yeah.
That when they told me that, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, what? Like, this guy just disappeared? They're like, he was nowhere.
That must have been the deep voice that you heard.
Yeah, I was wondering
on the
that too.
recordings.
Yeah, could be.
That could have been. Absolutely could have been.
There's got to be something connected to the house, some kind of tragedy, some kind of story. Like, why would they be hanging around still? And why would that little girl be so upset or angry that she's throwing stuff at people? She's making the room cold. She's giving off this negative energy to make you guys fight. So, yeah, something must have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. I did so much research. I wish I had found something that would make it make sense. But I never did. I never found anything.
I mean, it could be as little as one newspaper story on one day that said what happened, and it's probably just really hard to find.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, or, you know, a lot of time, especially I think back in the day, people were kind of reluctant to talk about stuff like that.
True.
At least pre, 24-hour news cycle. Like when we did the wooden match, they had a train crash that, like, we all live around here. Nobody knew about
12
that.
people died in the train crash, but it was just one newspaper article, one photo, like it,
and that was it.
Or even if it was something personal, like a lot of times back in the day, just because, if people died in some place doesn't mean it actually was a covered story.
Mm-hmm.
It happened, they buried them and moved on.
Yeah.
So there might not be a direct answer, but are you still in this house?
No.
I was going to say, good.
No, we lived there. I lived there with him for about 4 years, and then we moved to the town I live in now. So the stories continue. The house we moved into up here, remember, I'm haunted, not the houses.
Uh-huh.
So they come with me. And so this house that we moved into was even older. It was built in the 1800s, late 1800s. And there, let me think. So there were 2 ghost girls. Looked about, and I say looked because we saw them many times, 8 or 9 kind of little girls, and we would see them playing, chasing each other out back. There was a couple of sheds, and you'd see the girls chasing each other between them. I was home completely alone once, outside doing yard work, and you could hear ha 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 ha.
Oh, hell no.
Jeez. Anything with little kids is so extra
I'm
creepy.
sorry. The kid ghosts freak me the hell out. They get me, man.
And I left. I just went straight to my car and I left. I'm like, I will never be here alone again.
Yeah, there you go. That would be me.
Yeah, and my kids were down, way down in our alfalfa field. They were picking alfalfa for their rabbits. And one of the kids had to run up to the house for something, and so he took off, and he's just running up the field, and all of my other kids are just standing there watching this ghost girl right behind him, keeping pace. Running with him to the house, and they're all standing there just watching.
Mouth open.
And
I'd be like, run!
She's behind you!
Yeah, so stuff like that. Lots of EVPs at that house, a whole lot. We got a name from a man. My husband asked what his name was, and we got Dave Birdman.
You got first and last name.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really
clear.
cool.
Like I'm talking to you guys, just super clear. All of them weren't, of course, super clear, but once in a while we'd get one that there's just no doubt what they were saying. And so we looked up Dave Birdman, and we never found anything. We found somebody else, Birdman, but not Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that happened. And then the creepiest thing that happened there, my daughter was 14 or 15, and she would lay down in her room. Very first night it happened. My husband and I are downstairs. Everyone's in their beds. Blood curdling scream, and she starts running down the stairs sobbing. And so we're like, what just happened? And she says, there's a man in my room.
Oh my God.
And I told my husband, I said, go now.
Yeah.
Like, go.
Get the bat.
And so, yes, get something. So he goes, and of course there isn't anything there. This happened every single night.
Oh my gosh. That's horrible.
It started that he was in the doorway, and every night he'd be one step closer to her.
That is more
That
psychological
is terrifying.
warfare.
Yeah, that is more psychological warfare. It's terrifying.
That's messed up.
I feel so bad for her.
Yeah, that's traumatizing.
Yeah. So I went and laid in her bed one night. I'm like, come at me. Come at me.
I'll fight you.
Like, I'm like, you're going to do this to my daughter. Do it to me. Do this to me. and nothing.
Ooh.
Nothing ever happened. So I got a hold of the landlords and I said, all right, all of this is going down. I need to know, when you guys lived here, they lived there for a long time. I said, did this stuff happen? And then all of these stories came out.
See, that's the crappy part, because people don't really have to disclose that this stuff happens, but it does, and then the next people get traumatized.
Yeah, man. Kids involved.
Yeah, kids being involved is the crappy part. You don't want them to be terrorized by anything. Yeah, and traumatized for the rest of their lives.
So is this your current place of residence?
Still no.
Okay,
you ready
good.
for the word haunting?
Oh, jeez.
As if all of that wasn't bad enough.
It's just escalating and escalating.
It is, and it actually, this last one, this last story that I have for you actually involves a legitimate demon.
Oh, no.
It wasn't just ghost. So, my husband took a job in Montana, and so we moved up there for 3 years. And our first house we lived in was just fine. There was never anything there. We moved into this very old, gigantic house. It is 3 stories. It is huge. And we thought, this is so cool. This is really going to be good. It's going to fit all of our family. We had never had a house that was so big for all of our kids to play in. And so far there hadn't been ghosts. It was just going to be good. It wasn't.
But then there's more.
But wait, there's more. We heard music playing in the middle of the night. We don't know where it ever was coming from. We never could pinpoint where it was coming from. Again, there was a ghost girl. We called her Gigi for ghost girl.
That's smart.
She was seen a lot. Again, by my bedroom, by my bathroom. The kids would see her running across the hall, and she would go through walls.
Wow.
She again never interacted with us, just appeared or would do things. My son, the one that kept having things thrown at him, got to the point where spirits did interact with him. He could see them when other people couldn't see them. And I woke up one morning, opened my bedroom door, and he's probably 13 or 12 at the time. And he's sitting outside my door, and he's hugging his knees, and he's just sobbing.
Poor kid.
And
Wow.
And I said, son, what's wrong? I got down on my knees and I said, what's going on? And he says, there's a man in the kitchen. And I said, okay, let's go. I don't know what I was going to do, but let's go. And so that icy feeling that I had in my bedroom that one night, it was just like that in the kitchen. And I said, I can't see him, but I can feel him. I said, can you tell me where he is? And he says, he's right there, and by the fridge. And I just went and stood in front of the fridge, and I pointed, and I said, is he in front of me? And he's nodding his head. He's still crying, absolutely terrified. And again, I just said, this is our home. I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know if you used to live here, but you are scaring my children. And you're not welcome here. Guys, the feeling got worse. It's almost like I pissed him off.
Oh, no.
It got so bad.
Me too. I'm so invested in this. I'm like just waiting for more.
Yeah, it got worse. I actually had to walk out of the room. It's like I was energetically pushed out of the room. I had to leave that room. Wow. There was so much energy and anger. It felt like just complete anger. And so I walked out of the room and kind of gathered myself. I have goosebumps again right now just talking about it. And I told my son, I said, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going back in, but just give me a second. And so I let my own energy get stronger. I wasn't angry back, but I was kind of angry that he's doing this to my kid.
Yeah.
So I was being very protective, I guess, was the energy. And I went back in and I said it out loud. I didn't yell it, but just about. And I said, this is our home. Get out.
Yeah.
And it went away.
Boss
The
lady.
feeling just calmed. And I thought, how much more of this are we going to have to deal with? I mean, if it's strong enough to push me out of the room, that I couldn't stand being there.
You know what? But you were strong enough to go back in.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Most people wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Exactly. Most people would be way more terrified.
Yeah.
And would not have done that.
Take
so
that
kudos
away
to
from
you.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I never viewed it that way.
You missed your calling as a paranormal investigator, I guess.
Seriously.
I just
Like
felt
in
very
there crapping our
protective, you
pants.
know. I don't know if you guys have kids, but when they're being attacked, like your mama bear instincts come out, and it's like, I will take on a spirit. I will take on a demon for you. I will do this.
Good mom. It's a good mom.
For the babies. For the babies.
Thanks. So the same boy, my same son, one night cried out from his room. And so I went in there, and he's under his blankets, and he's in his bed, and he is shaking. He is so terrified. And I said, son, what's happening? And he says, it's down there. And he points to the other end of his room. And I said, I can't see it. I don't know what you're seeing. You have to tell me. And he says, Mom, it's a demon.
Oh, that's scary.
Damn.
And I said, like what? He says, Mom, just like the movies. I'm like, wait, what? And so I took him out of his room. I said, come with me right now. And so I took him into my room and calmed him down. And I said, you need to tell me what you saw. And he says, it was black in his room, of course, at night. Mm-hmm. He says down in the far corner of his room, it slowly outlined a doorway in red.
Ooh.
Like red light coming from behind a closed door.
Ooh.
And he said it actually opened.
Ooh.
I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, are you making this up? And he started to cry. And he says, I'm not making this up. And I said, what happened? He says it was a demon. That's all I can say. That's the only way to describe it. It wasn't just a spirit. And I said, what happened? He says it stepped through the door. And he said it had to bend down to come through this door. It was gigantic.
Jeez.
And he said that it told me that it was going to make me do very bad things.
That's terrible.
And
Oh, God.
I have the chills. I got the willies.
We all got the willies.
And that's when he screamed for me, and he went under his blanket.
Oh my God.
And then, of course, by the time I got there, it was gone.
Wow.
That was, I mean, you would think all the other stuff was like the last straw, but that was it. I looked up how to cleanse houses. Like, I still felt very new to this, even though it had been happening for 10 years. I just felt very new at it. And so I looked up how to cleanse houses, and I did my best. That was the only thing with the demon. The Gigi, the ghost girl, was still there. He said that one time he came out, and she was holding her knees, squatted down, holding her knees, and she looked terrified. Mm. And then another spirit had come out, and she just disappeared. I'm like, so there's another spirit here terrifying these other spirits?
Yeah, there's like a pecking order.
Yeah.
Pecking order.
Right.
That's wild.
So now that house, historically, was used as a lot of things. A post office, an electric company, and a hospital.
Mm. Oh, well, there you go, yeah.
And supposedly it was a maternity ward. So that would bring in a lot of things, but I don't know how all of it fits in. We ended up only living there for 1 year, and then we moved back to Utah. But yeah, that's most of it.
How are things now?
Yeah, that's the question.
So the hauntings are good. There's no hauntings. Okay. It grew from that stuff that happened in Montana. That was 9 years ago when all of those things were happening, to now, and things have taken a really positive turn. I actually can speak with them now. I'm a medium. I speak with spirits. I speak with the dead. I speak with. Actually, let me tell you the first one of those. I was in Montana and sitting in my room visiting with my husband, and my dad appeared.
Wow.
Like, in every single way. I remember it feeling so weird because in every single way he was there, except visually. Like, his energy was there, I kept turning to where he was, thinking I was going to see my dad, and he's not there. But I could hear him. I could hear him so clearly, and I could feel him, and he would put images into my mind, and none of this had ever happened before, ever. And so I'm sitting here, and I'm explaining it to my husband, and I'm sobbing, and I'm like, he's here. My dad is right here, and this is what he's saying, and like, he's here. So it was so beautiful. It was a beautiful moment to be with him and to hear him, and he says, I'm so glad to be the first to share your gift with you.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's another, like, kind of a familial component, too. Like, maybe you got it from him, maybe your son got it from you, you know. It's like passing down the mediumship genes.
Yeah, but that would explain why you were seeing and hearing things for such a long time, right? You had this ability, you had this gift, and you just didn't know it, and now it sounds like you've honed in on it, and you can kind of take control of it.
Yeah, which is so badass.
Totally.
Yeah, I didn't think of it like that before. Thank you for that. Yeah. And it kind of caught me, though, when he said, I'm so glad to be the first to share your gift with you. I thought, wait, this can happen? Like, this can happen more? And so since then, since the very first, it happens all the time. It's funny because I swear, guys, there are signs all over me spiritually. Hey, stranger spirits that I've never met, come talk to me.
Well, on our one episode, we had a professional medium come on, and she was explaining that's kind of how it is. They kind of just know that they can go to her and talk to her, and random spirits and ghosts will just be talking to her. They'll come in, and that's kind of just how it goes.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Oh, good.
There's a big billboard above your head that says, "Hey, spirits welcome. I can talk." You know?
Available.
Oh no.
You're the psychic therapist. We all need therapy.
That's true.
Oh my
That's
God.
true.
Even in death.
Yeah, it never stops.
So the first time a stranger/spirit came to me, I was in Montana, and I was trying to foster a friendship with this woman. I'd only hung out with her a couple times, and she asked if I wanted to ride to the next town to the grocery store with her, and I said, yeah, sure. So I'm driving, and she's telling me about her dad dying.
As you do, you know. No shade, legit, that's me. I'm like, oh, let's overshare, you know.
And so she's telling all of this, and I'm a very good listener, so I'm being very quiet and totally absorbing her story. And her dad shows up.
Oof.
In spirit.
Wow.
And he's like, I need you to tell her this. And I'm like, whoa. First of all, who are you? Second of all, like, how are you here and talking to me? And third of all, I don't know her. Like, I'm not just going to be like, hey, your dad's here.
Yeah,
like, I know I don't know you, but he wants me to tell you this. Like, I wasn't willing to do that. And he's saying, because she at the time was talking about that he was in a coma, and she didn't know if he had heard what she was saying. Mm-hmm. And he wanted me to repeat what he was saying back to her because that's what she had said to him. And so he wanted me to let her know, yes, I heard you. And I'm just freaked. I'm like, no way. Like, I'm telling you right now, I'm not doing this for you. I will not do this. And so he stops talking, and he puts an image in my mind, right in the front of my mind. It's a bear, like a teddy bear, like a stuffed bear. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking to him, and I said, what do you want me to do with that? Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And he's not talking, he's not explaining, he just keeps this image here. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a try. And I said, did anybody give your dad a bear when he was in the hospital? And she says, yeah, I did. And I said, oh, okay. And I went to him and I said, there, you happy? I asked about it. And he keeps the bear there. And I'm like, what? yes. Okay. Was it a brown bear? And she's like, yes. I said, did it have a lighter colored nose and paws? And she says, yes. And I said, did it have a red bow around its neck? And she's like, oh my God, can you see it? Can you see the bear? I'm like, I can't. And I don't know how this is happening, but yes, I can see the bear. And she just starts crying.
Aww.
And then he went away. So I learned from that. I lost my opportunity to provide some healing for somebody. But I was grateful that he made me, because this bear wasn't going anywhere, pressured me to at least talk about it, to validate that this can happen. Mm-hmm. Like, Laura, this can happen. You can help these people. And it happens all the time now with strangers, strange spirits. At Walmart, I'm getting a new phone. And the guy's talking about his dad. And I've learned to walk away from those conversations. But his dad shows up. I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. So anyway, that's kind of, I've talked to a lot of family. Sadly, one of my sons passed away. When
I'm so sorry.
And I've spoken with him a few times. And it is so healing. And it's not just healing for me. My dad came to me and asked me to tell Mom stuff. She couldn't get her own messages from him because of how thick her grief was. And it helped her open up to where she could feel him. So there's a lot of healing in it. I'm not grateful for the hauntings.
Right.
But it's had a happy ending, and no more hauntings.
That's awesome.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I think when you start allowing yourself open to these more, positive spirits, it's gonna kind of push out those negative ones, right? Those negative ones won't be able to push through because all the positive ones are now filtering in. And I think that's a really nice positive ending to this tragic starting story.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just amazed. I'm just sitting here like, holy moly.
When we got the email that someone would call in and say the spooky fan story, we're like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool, that's exciting. I did not expect it to be something on this level.
Same.
Absolutely.
This is intense.
It's very intense, and that's why I was messaging Jordan about actually talking about it instead of emailing all of this.
Yes,
This would be way too much to type out in email.
Yeah, I completely understand why the call was necessary.
Sure.
Yeah, I wanted it to be felt, not just heard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much for sharing this incredible story, journey with us and the listeners from a smaller haunting to something demonic to now something so positive, and that you're able to, hone in on your medium abilities and actually give, peace not just to yourself, but family and other people. It's incredible.
Totally.
Thank you.
So I just have a couple quick questions. How did you find us, Ghost Encounters Podcast? And, when did you start listening, and what did you think of us?
So I had been listening to other podcasts. I had been listening to a podcast about Sasquatch.
I'd love to hear
Encounters for about a year. And I was in my room one night with my son, and I said, help me find a podcast on spirits, because that's what I really, really want to hear about. Like, I'm good with the Sasquatch, but let's move on. And so we found like 3 or 4 other ones before he found you guys. Mm-hmm. And I listened for just a little bit for different reasons. I just couldn't vibe with it. And so I said, no. He's like, here, listen to this one. I've been listening to this one for a few minutes now, and I think you're really going to like it.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. That's so fun.
Yeah. And that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I've been listening every night. I listen to 2 or 3 episodes while I sit here and do my work. And after I listened, I think for about 2 or 3 days, I just had this feeling. I just thought, you know what? I wonder if I should reach out and share all of my crazy stories. And I feel like it might help somebody that's maybe going through something similar, because listening to the stories, I thought, I'm not alone. Like, I'm not alone, and there's people that want to hear this and talk about this, and I need to talk about it to somebody.
Absolutely.
So then I reached out. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love. I love your guys' different personalities. I love
very different.
I love Justin. I think he's very good at what he does. He brings it all together. He does all of that. Jordan is very. You seem very happy, very positive, very open to this stuff. Hannah, you absolutely crack me up. I just sit here, open mouth, head back, just laughing. And sometimes it's just like one word that you say, like if someone's telling a story and you'll just say like demon.
Seriously, like the one time she was like Protestant and we just lost it, and it was the funniest thing ever, and we just weren't expecting her to say it, and it just slips out of her mouth, and it's the funniest thing ever.
No.
Oh my gosh, I remember that one, and I did. I just died laughing.
So much fun.
I'm sorry to the Protestants. I didn't mean it.
Thank you so much for those awesome words. It really means a lot to us to hear, like, you know, how deeply you're listening. To know that we have a fan all the way across the country, and that you're literally, you know, getting the embodiment of who we are.
Yeah.
Me, myself, Jordan, Hannah, and, you know, hearing these things, it really means a lot to us. We work really hard on the podcast, and to know that we're a source of help and also entertainment, obviously, for people out there. It's really great. It really is. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And it's awesome that you said that you just felt like you wanted to like reach out to us, and you wanted to like, you just had that feeling. I just really like, for some reason, when I got the email, I also felt the same way, that I was like, okay, I have a good feeling about a call with this person. And I've always felt some sort of sensitivity towards the paranormal, so maybe I'm the one that needed to hear from you and get your experiences, because I'm still learning and trying to figure out spirits relating to me. Like, I still have weird shit that happens to me at my house. My fiance was just talking about how we have this little tap light like next to our bed. Like we have a huge bed frame, and we have these little tap lights on the side of the bed, and certain nights only my light will come on randomly as we're sitting there getting ready to go to bed. And I don't know, the weird freaky shit always happened to me, and maybe I'm the reason that I needed to hear from you.
Weird stuff has happened. I've known you for 15 years, and weird shit has happened ever since then.
But I've never like tried to do anything.
No, you never
I've
did.
always just been like, okay, cool, that was awesome. Peace, you know.
I got stuff to do later.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's just my little tidbit.
We also try to we try to be kind of a safe space for people.
Yes,
exactly.
Like, this is a paranormal safe space.
We're not trying to, like, a lot of the stories are creepy and spooky. We're not trying to, you know, give people nightmares. We're trying to bring light, you know, to some of the bad stuff. And you know, this is a safe place for people to share their stories, which is why, Jordan, it was your idea to start this fan story. Yeah. And now we had someone just call in, and now it's a whole episode because her story was so crazy. You know, it's turned into something really nice, really great.
Yeah,
super positive.
What has been?
You guys do feel like a safe space. I want you to know that. You guys are doing great work, and I've shared my stories, not like full length like this, but I have shared them with people that I thought would be interested, or my family, and I never felt safe telling it ever, because you get the raised eyebrow, you get the whole she's crazy,
right?
It's of the devil. Don't do this. You know, ignore it. Don't talk about it. My mom had pulled me aside to do an intervention, and she says, "Honey, don't." She says, "Don't talk about it. Do not talk about it. Just stop talking about it. Don't cleanse your house. Don't react to it." And I looked at her and I said, "Please don't ever say that to me again." Yeah. I said, "They are hurting my children."
Yeah.
You don't just ignore that.
No, you don't just ignore that.
Absolutely.
And ignoring it will sometimes just make it worse.
Yeah.
You got to hit it head on.
Yeah. So thank you for the safe space. Thank you for letting me share all of it and not feeling insane. And that's what I've needed. And I think a lot more people need that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So if anyone listening has other stories to share, no matter how long, no matter how deep, just, you know, let us know. Call in. We can have you on the podcast just like this. You can write it. You can be anonymous. This is a place for everyone to share their stories and experiences, to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, seriously.
What has been your favorite podcast episode so far?
This is always a tricky question.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to think about them. I'm gonna have to go with, and I don't know why because they creep me out, but the haunted dolls.
Yes. The haunted
It's a
dolls
great
is
episode.
fan favorite.
Oh my god.
The
that's so
haunted
funny.
dolls because, and I've never watched Chucky. I've never been into like those kind of movies where there's some haunted doll, but you guys can remind me the name of that one doll that people saw like walking around
Was that Robert?
upstairs in the.
That was
Yeah,
Robert the doll.
No.
Yes.
The doll.
Yes. Okay, you guys ruined me for the rest of that
That's the same part though for me. That like I get a little mental movie that just plays of like his weird little silhouette going by the window.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
That shock doc that I watched on Discovery Plus about Robert the doll, I was so freaked out afterwards. I was like, if I see any of my dolls just cruising on by me tonight, someone's getting punted because I will literally flip out. Like,
They're kicking a doll and setting the house on fire.
yeah, I'm out. Peace. Would not be able to handle that.
So funny.
I could see you doing that.
That's so funny.
Well, this has been so awesome. Please, keep writing to us and give us updates. Let us know how you are doing, how the whole family's doing, how your abilities are doing. If you have new and exciting stories to share, please share them, and we'll just keep having you on.
Yeah, keep in touch.
Yeah.
Cool.
Don't be a
Will do.
stranger.
Awesome. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. Stay spooky.
Please stay positive.
And remember to stand your ground.
Yeah.